Morant with a running start. Oh, it dunks! Oh, my goodness! Tie game in overtime. Gasol will turn his heat. It's gone! Memphis on top. 7-10 remaining. Conley now with three. Count it! A 15-point lead for Memphis. And Blake Griffin gets into it on the floor with Randolph. Hard to tell if there are any punches being thrown under there, but Griffin took acceptance. Adams going long. Morant! Oh, he hit it! John Morant, insanity!
You gotta be kidding me.
Welcome to Grits and Grinds, a Memphis Grizzlies podcast. My name is Keith Parrish. Marcus Smart returned from injury, but the Grizzlies lost to the Los Angeles Lakers 128-123. They could not overcome LeBron James and a Lakers three-point shooting barrage. Despite this, I thought there was a lot of really good stuff from this game. So let's get right into it. The Grizzlies fell down early. With the return of Marcus Smart, there was some question whether or not he would enter the starting lineup again. I thought with him returning from injury, this was a really good opportunity to get him accustomed to coming off the bench. Because when Vince Williams Jr. returns, which by the way is probably Friday, Vince Williams Jr. was doubtful for this game. So hopefully Vince Williams Jr. will be back on Friday night for the NBA Cup game against the Warriors. I was thinking that Vince Williams Jr. should be the long-term starter. Also, Jalen Wells has played so nicely as the starter this year. Maybe it makes more sense to have the bigger, better shooting Jalen Wells in a starting lineup over someone like Marcus Smart. Now, I don't know if it was a strategic thing to have Marcus Smart come off the bench. Probably it was a minutes limitation thing. But again, I feel like the minutes limitation thing is a great excuse to have Marcus Smart come off the bench. But he did come off the bench. Jalen Wells still started, but also Jay Huff started this game. They kept Zach Edey on the second unit, and Brandon Clark, now he was unavailable for this game. And that is, of course, a big reason why you lose on the road to the Lakers. The Lakers had Anthony Davis for this matchup, which is different from the last time the Grizzlies beat the Lakers last week. But the Grizzlies did not have Ja Morant and Desmond Bane, of course. No Vince Williams Jr., also no Brandon Clark. So Jay Huff got the start, and the Lakers got off to a fast start. Jay Huff immediately looked very out of place trying to play Anthony Davis. In the first quarter, the Lakers ended up with 38 points. That's tied for the most points the Grizzlies have allowed in a first quarter all season. So the Grizzlies fell down, and it was three-point shooting early. In the first half, it basically was all about the Lakers making three-pointers. But in the second quarter, the Grizzlies bounced back really nicely. The Grizzlies had their own 38-point quarter in the second quarter, cut that halftime lead to 1. In the third quarter, Zach Edey actually started the second half. So Zach Edey got put in with the starters to start the second half. In the third quarter, the Grizzlies actually built a lead. You could tell that the Grizzlies offense was wearing down the Lakers defense. The constant movement was giving the Grizzlies a lot of really good shots. Now, I felt like the Grizzlies left some money on the table, so to speak. They had an opportunity to build a bigger lead in that third quarter, I thought. But they still got up by 9 or so. But then in the fourth quarter, and actually it started the end of the third quarter, the Grizzlies could not compete when Jaren Jackson Jr. was on the bench. The Grizzlies were up 9 when Jaren checks out near the end of the third quarter. Lakers go on a quick 8-0 run. Then in the fourth quarter, Jaren plays some, but picks up his 5th foul. And that's going to be a storyline for the game because Jaren left the game with 6 minutes left with his 5th foul. This is the first time Jaren has faced foul trouble this year. That part's good. But also, it's another nationally televised game where Jaren has 5 fouls. It does seem like that happens on national TV more than it does otherwise. But Jaren goes to the bench with 5 fouls. The Grizzlies are down 2. In the 2 minutes he's on the bench, the Lakers extend that lead to 6. So by the time he checks back in with 3 minutes and 50 seconds left, you're down 6. Your odds of winning have plummeted, and you end up falling just short. Now, not to beat a dead horse here, but this is a particular point of interest for me, something I'm quite passionate about. I remain befuddled that Taylor Jenkins benches Jaren Jackson Jr. in the most crucial moments of the game, especially in a game where Ja Morant and Desmond Bane are not available. By taking Jaren out with 6 minutes left, by quote-unquote saving him for possibly more important minutes later, your odds of winning the game plummeted. Jaren, of course, did not foul out of the game. Jaren might have fouled out immediately if you left him in the game. With Jaren on the bench, Anthony Davis hit 2 massive three-pointers. Anthony Davis might have still hit those three-pointers if Jaren was out there. We don't know. But essentially fouling your own guys out with 6 minutes left to go in the game, I have a hard time with it. But it's not the biggest reason that the Grizzlies lost this game. I mean, if we're assigning blame for the reasons the Grizzlies lost, I mean, the most important reason the Grizzlies lost is that Ja Morant and Desmond Bane weren't available. Maybe second is LeBron James. I mean, LeBron James and Anthony Davis played. After that is the Lakers hit 23 pointers. Dalton Kennard, who last week when the Grizzlies beat the Lakers, Dalton Kennard started, scored 3 points. Dalton Kennard made 5 out of 5 3-pointers. Rui Hachimura continues murdering the Grizzlies every time they play. More on that in a second. All of those things are way more important than Jaren being taken out with his 5th foul with 6 minutes left. So we don't have to get too worked up about it, but I still remain constantly perplexed how a coach thinks the best path to winning is taking out my best player with 6 minutes to go in the game. By the way, Jaren had a really good game. Scored 29 points, had 2 steals, had 7 rebounds, made 7 out of 8 free throws. By the way, Jaren has been making his free throws. In the first 3 games of the season, Jaren missed 9 total free throws. In the subsequent 7 games, he's only missed 4. So he's 88% from the line in the past 7 games. The story of the game is the Grizzlies were outscored by 10 points in just the second half when Jaren was on the bench. But Jaren has to rest. I think you would say there were some decisions Taylor Jenkins made in this game that you could criticize, but at least I think they were defensible decisions. I admittedly will call taking Jaren out with 5 fouls with 6 minutes left a defensible decision. I personally vehemently disagree with it, but it's defensible, I guess. Like starting Jay Huff, defensible decision. Jay Huff had been playing so well for the Grizzlies. There's no Brandon Clark. You don't want Zach Edey to have to face up with Anthony Davis to start the game. So you're like, okay, Jay Huff, you go do it. Well, it didn't work out. The Lakers got off to a 16-5 start. Later in the game, Edey did a really good job against Anthony Davis. So maybe that was a wrong decision, but it was a defensible decision. Not worked up about it. The lineup to start the fourth quarter when Jaren was not available. It was Scottie Pippen Jr., John Conchar, Marcus Smart, Santi Aldama, and Jay Huff. It didn't work out for the Grizzlies, but with no Jaren, like Jaren has to rest at some time. You're not going to play Jaren 24 minutes in the second half. I mean, Jaren still played a season high in minutes, played 33 minutes. With no Jaren, if he's going to the bench, and with no Ja and no Desmond and no Brandon Clark available, that lineup's fine. You got to play somebody. So I think there were defensible decisions that didn't go the Grizzlies' way. I would highlight more that the Grizzlies' defense was lackadaisical, I felt like, in the first quarter. And then when the Grizzlies put together a really good defensive stretch, I'd say over the second and third quarters, the Grizzlies left some points out there where they could have built the lead up, it felt like. And then when LeBron is just incredible, LeBron becomes the oldest player ever to post 3 consecutive triple-doubles. LeBron dominated the second half. When Dalton connects hitting everything, when Rui Hachimura continues destroying you. This was Rui's 4th consecutive game against the Grizzlies, where he made more than 75% of his field goal attempts. That's not even including the playoff series in 2023, when Rui absolutely destroyed the Grizzlies. His last 4 regular season games against the Grizzlies. This last game, 6 for 7 from the field, 3 for 4 on 3-pointers, 19 points. The game before that, 5 out of 6 from the field, 14 points. The game before that, 11 out of 14 from the field, including 7 out of 8 from the 3-point line, 32 points. The game before that, 8 out of 10 from the field, including 3 out of 3 from the 3-point line, 23 points. The game before that, he shot an embarrassing 64% from the field against the Grizzlies. He was 7 out of 11 from the field, including just 1 out of 3 from the 3-point line. That actually jumps back before the playoffs, so that goes back to 2023. The Lakers have won the last 5 regular season games when Rui Hachimura has played. Reminder, in the playoffs against the Grizzlies, Rui made 11 out of 21 3-pointers in that series. The first game of that series, he was 11 out of 14 from the field for 29 points. Rui Hachimura is a certified first ballot Grizz killer. I don't know what's going on, but Rui Hachimura absolutely destroys the Grizzlies every time he plays them. Now, on the Grizzlies side of the table, they got a lot of really promising performances, and I am not too broken up about this loss. You knew it was going to be tough. It was a revenge game for the Lakers. You knew you were shorthanded and they were at full strength. And when you see that they made 20 out of 41 3-pointers, for me, that's the ball game. I'm more excited that Jaren Jackson Jr. looked great. I'm excited about Zach Edey's game. Zach Edey, of course, came off the bench. He missed 4 out of his first 5 field goal attempts, but that's no big deal. Zach Edey was a problem for the Lakers. Zach Edey was being so dominant, posting up for rebounds, that he got Anthony Davis in foul trouble. Zach Edey was a force for the Grizzlies in this game. And there are, of course, big limitations to his game with his foot speed. But he is really, I think, advancing, developing nicely. And in this game, he finishes with 12 points and 8 rebounds. He gets a steal and a block and an assist. He does foul out. And that's another reason why you probably didn't start him, because you're worried about the foul trouble with Zach Edey. But I would say 12 points and 8 rebounds kind of underestimates his impact on this game. I thought this was one of Zach Edey's best games. He finishes a team best plus 12 in his minutes. Marcus Smart, in his return, looked really good. Marcus Smart made his first 2 3-pointers. First play of the game when he was out there, he blocks Austin Reeves' shot and saves the ball off of Austin Reeves. I thought Marcus had a really nice game. He did turn the basketball over 4 times. Marcus Smart continues turning the basketball over a preposterous number of times since he's been on the Grizzlies. Many of these turnovers I felt were unforced too. He was trying to make aggressive passes and or draw fouls from the officials, and the officials weren't having it. Now, he did generate a lot of fouls and a lot of free throws. He got to the foul line 8 times, made 7 out of 8 free throws. But Marcus had 15 points and 6 assists in just under 23 minutes of playing time. All that is quite good. By the way, Marcus's shooting splits on the road against the Lakers since he's joined the Grizzlies, they're wild. So This was Marcus's third game at Los Angeles at the Lakers since he's been on the Grizzlies. Now, one of those games was the best game he's played since he joined the Grizzlies. He made 8 3-pointers against them in a victory last season. The other game last season, he was 1 out of 2 from the 3-point line and got hurt. Only played 5 minutes. This game, he was 2 out of 4 from the 3-point line. And these are just random small sample sizes. But so far, as a Memphis Grizzly, against the Los Angeles Lakers on the road, Marcus is 11 out of 19 on 3-pointers. Of course, the bulk of that is the game where he was 8 for 14. But that's 58% from the 3-point line in those 3 games. In all other games on the Grizzlies, he's 36 for 136 on 3-pointers, 27%. Now, that stat means absolutely nothing. It's what we call trivia, but I looked it up and saw it, so I shared it with you. So I thought Marcus, coming off the bench, had a really nice first game. Scottie Pippen Jr. in the start played well. Scottie did miss 2 important shots in this game that really stuck out. In that third quarter, where I thought the Grizzlies defense was so good, he missed a wide open layup after a steal. This is after Santi missed so many wide open 3-pointers. When I talk about the Grizzlies not taking advantage of offensive opportunities when their defense was clicking, a lot of that was Santi. Santi had so many wide open 3-pointers that he just did not make. Even at the end of the game, when the game was tied, Santi misses a wide open corner 3. The Lakers come down and make a 3. Those were huge swing plays. So Scottie, I thought, was very, very good in this revenge game against the Lakers, except for those big misses where one wide open breakaway layup after a steal. And then in the fourth quarter, when the Grizzlies were down 6, he also missed a very makeable layup after blowing by his defender. The Lakers came down, a little LeBron 80 2-man game, built up the lead to 118-110. Now, with the Grizzlies down 8 at that point, they actually sort of got back into it. The Lakers kept fouling the Grizzlies. That let them hang around. Then Jaren made a driving dunk after faking a 3-pointer that brought the Grizzlies within 4. But then after that is when Austin Reeves hit the big step-back dagger. That basically ended it. There still was maybe a long shot prayer. After Luke Kennard hit his 4th 3 of the game, there was a moment where it looked like the Grizzlies could win a challenge where there was an inbounds pass. They called it out of bounds on the Grizzlies. It hit Austin Reeves' fingers last. The Grizzlies challenged it, but the replay review spotted Scottie Pippen Jr. grabbing Austin Reeves' hip. So that was correctly called a foul on Scottie Pippen Jr. So they still, were going to be long shot to win the game, or long odds. They would be down 2 scores with 18 seconds left or something like that. But the Grizzlies had opportunities, and that's why, again, I guess I'm not as broken up about this game maybe as some people are, because of I thought the team played well overall after they got over some of those hiccups, and this felt like a shooting variance game. The Grizzlies were 1 out of 7 on 3-pointers in the fourth quarter. The Lakers were 6 out of 12 on 3s in just the fourth quarter. The only guy making 3-pointers really for the Grizzlies was Luke Kennard. He was 4 for 4 from the 3-point line. Luke has been tremendous this season so far. He did do one pet peeve of mine. All right, I have several pet peeves. One of them is taking your best player out with 6 minutes left in a close basketball game when they have 5 fouls. Another is not shooting half-court shots. Into the third quarter, Luke Kennard is maintaining his field goal percentage. He's worried about his 3-point percentage and does not shoot the half-court heave until he hears the buzzer. He makes the heave after the buzzer. I hate this. This is not winning basketball. Shoot your heaves. Give yourself a chance to score. It's a free shot. I don't get it. I know these guys get paid off of the 3-point percentages, but I hate that play. But otherwise, Luke has played really, really well this season. Part of me hopes that the Grizzlies front office and coaching staff had this file of figuring out that Luke Kennard is the perfect guard to fit their new offensive system, can dribble just well enough, obviously an extremely good shooter, can pass just good enough, where he clicks perfectly in the style of offense they want to run. And that's the reason they were so focused on keeping him. I was not that enamored with the idea that Luke Kennard should be the big priority of the offseason of keeping him. But so far, Luke's been awesome in every game he's played. Even in this one, you see the offense working perfectly, where not only is he making three-pointers when they're running designed plays for him coming off screens, but he's doing the back cuts. He's finding Zach Edey for a lay-in after he makes the back cut. Luke has fit so well into what they're trying to do. I've been incredibly encouraged by his play this season. His bench partner the last few games, a guy we've really been praising, Jake LaRavia. LaRavia continues, I think, playing very, very well. He had 10 points and 4 assists. He found Zach Edey for one of Zach Edey's buckets on a nice playmaking play. LaRavia's first bucket was an absolutely outrageous step-back three-pointer. It was in the first quarter against Anthony Davis. It was just a wild moon ball that he made. It was his only three-point attempt for the game. But LaRavia, 10 points on 4 shots, 4 assists, keeps playing so well, there's almost no chance you can keep him in the offseason. Good job, everybody. But Jake, I thought, played well. Part of a bench unit. You talk about the Lakers' good shooting. The Grizzlies' bench, it was good enough. The Grizzlies' bench combined to make 7 out of their 10 three-pointers. That's Kennard 4 for 4, LaRavia 1 for 1, Conchar 0 for 1, and Marcus Smart 2 for 4. That's good enough. The Grizzlies' bench was really good in this game. It was just the starting lineup not being able to be as good. Like Jalen Wells did not have a great game for him based on what he's done so far. He did have some good moments, but he missed all 3 of his three-pointers, and he missed badly. None of them were close. The best player, the one that sticks out of my mind for me, is he got an and one on Austin Reeves. He kind of bully balled him. He drove in, pump faked him, got the contact finished in the paint. Jalen Wells scoring not at the three-point line is something that's been getting me very excited. So it wasn't Jalen's best game, but still 9 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. Now, Jay Huff did get the start. He missed all 4 of his three-point attempts. He also missed both of his free throw attempts. Both Jay and Santi were perfect from the free throw line coming into this game. They were a combined 28 for 28. They both missed their first free throws of the season. So Jay Huff's league best true shooting percentage takes a massive blow with him missing 2 free throws and just being 3 out of 8 on his field goal attempts. He still had a highlight reverse dunk finish in the second half. He beat Christian Coloco off the dribble for a nice little hook. But this game, I think, really highlighted the shortcomings of Jay Huff. His defense on the perimeter, his closing out, it's just subpar. It might be Zach Edey level. Yes, he still makes spectacular blocks. He's protecting the rim. He is a good shooter, so the other team is going to guard him. That's his skill. But you saw, I think, clearly the limitation when Huff's out there against other starters, particularly someone as good as Anthony Davis, where like, oh yeah, he can't hang in this situation at all. So Huff has 6 points, 3 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1 block in his first start on the Grizzlies. And now let's take a quick break, and we'll come back wrapping up this game. And we'll talk about the upcoming game against the Warriors on Friday night. All right, a few more things to go over. One of my favorite moments of this game was how Zach Edey, after getting his shot blocked on basically his first possession that he was in there by Anthony Davis, he comes down on the other end and blocks Anthony Davis's shot. I thought that was a good moment for Zach. And again, Zach, I thought, went toe-to-toe with Anthony Davis as best he could. Was very impressed again with Edey's game. Santi Aldama, now, he missed so many wide-open three-pointers. I tried to declare his shooting slump over, not so much from the three-point line, but every other part of Santi's game was really, really good. He finished 2 out of 7 from the three-point line. Every look very open. But he was 4 out of 7 on 2-pointers and had a great all-around floor game. Contributed 7 rebounds, including 3 offensive rebounds. He had 5 assists and 3 steals plus a block. So a really strong 15-point, 7 rebound, 5 assists, 3 steal game from Santi. John Conchar, he went scoreless in his 11 minutes, missed his only 3-point attempt. He had 3 rebounds and 2 assists. Now, Jake LaRavia's contributions, I was talking about just the rebounds, the assists, and everything he's been doing. He now has 7 consecutive games with at least 2 assists and a made 3. He has 2 or more assists in every game since the season opener. But here's an extremely cherry-picked stat. The longest streak in Grizzlies franchise history with a player coming off the bench and having at least 2 assists and a made 3, Chucky Atkins. I love that guy. Chucky Atkins did that 10 straight times. That is the longest streak in franchise history. Now, after this game, the Grizzlies, of course, head to Golden State. They're going to face the Warriors on Friday night. This will be a game against our former Grizzlies friends, Kyle Anderson and DeAnthony Melton. Of course, they have been, I'd say, a rivalry team for the Grizzlies. There's no love lost between the Grizzlies and Draymond Green. Now, Draymond Green has been talking before on podcasts about how the Grizzlies tried to sign him a couple of years ago. He went into specifics on Fred Warner's podcast this week. He said the Grizzlies had a 3-year, $105 million contract offer to him that he almost took. He took less money to stay with the Warriors. He did so in some small part or large part because LeBron James counseled him to stay with the Warriors and think about all the stuff they'd built in Golden State. Now, we're talking about the offseason of 2023, and I'll say I'm going to look more into this just because I'm curious. I can't figure out how the Grizzlies could have signed Draymond Green to a 3-year, $105 million contract in the summer of 2023. Doesn't make sense to me. The Grizzlies did not have salary cap space to do that. They had already traded for Marcus Smart ahead of the NBA draft. I mean, just bear with me on a conspiracy here. Perhaps if the Grizzlies made this offer before the Marcus Smart trade, which of course would be illegal, so there's no way they could have, or they would not have done that. Maybe they could have worked out some kind of sign and trade where they knew they were going to move on from Tyus Jones. They were going to move on from Dylan Brooks and create the space to sign him. I don't know. After the Marcus Smart trade, I do not know how the Grizzlies could have signed Draymond to a $30 million a year contract. I mean, I'm sure teams can always get it done. You think about the Miami Heat. Just agree to the contract. We'll work it out. We'll make the salaries work out. So extremely interesting idea to think about Draymond joining the Grizzlies. I think a Draymond, Jaren Jackson Jr. front court would be incredible. It'd be great. The idea of someone that hated joining the Grizzlies. I mean, I think Grizzlies fans get over things immediately. So we would have gotten over it immediately, but it's hard to imagine. I'm just more interested in the mechanics of how this would have worked out. That, hey, instead of signing Derrick Rose in 2023, our first offer was to Draymond Green. That's a fun bit of alternate history to think about. The Warriors game is the Grizzlies' first NBA Cup game. The Grizzlies last year were winless in their 4 NBA Cup games. They had the second worst point differential. Hopefully they'll do much better this year. I'll be real, I was confused this week. I'd been thinking all along this Lakers game was an NBA Cup game. Their first NBA Cup game is this Friday night against the Warriors. And by the way, the Grizzlies are debuting jerseys on Sunday against the Nuggets. I think these jerseys might come out or get officially released before this episode hits YouTube, because the turnaround, it's a little bit long because I have to record these and then go to work and then try to edit these quickly at work. But I think we're probably getting the jersey released today, but it's interesting that those red city jerseys, I mean, we've seen the leaks. It just hasn't been officially announced yet. The Memphis Sounds 50th anniversary tribute city jerseys that are red, they're wearing those jerseys on Sunday. They just haven't officially released them. I assume, again, we're going to see those officially from the team sometime later today on Thursday. And with that, I think we can call it a wrap on today's episode. Anyways, if you want to support my show, do that at patreon.com. At Patreon, you can join my listener Slack channel. With the death of Twitter / the impending migration from Twitter, you can come just join my Slack channel. Bunch of Grizzlies fans in there. Also, come follow me on Blue Sky. I am over there. I am switching over. Blue Sky, my handle is Fast Break Break, same as my Twitter handle, Fast Break Break. All right, you guys have a great Thursday. I'll talk to you soon. Go Grizz.